Hey friend, today I'm going to talk about hand lettering basics. So if you are brand new to hand lettering, or even if you're not, we're going to go back to the beginning and I'm going to give you some tips that'll help you lay a good solid foundation, help you get your basic strokes down so that you'll be able to improve your hand lettering and move along in your journey. A fun thing about hand lettering is that you can use literally any tools that you have laying around the house. So you could use a pencil, a Tombow brush pen, a Sharpie, a paintbrush, a felt tip pen, really whatever is available to you. I can get into the specifics of what makes a good tool, but that's a video for another day. The main characteristic of hand lettering is having thin upstrokes and thick downstrokes. That means whenever you move your pen up, it's super light pressure and thin, and whenever you move your pen downwards, you're going to put more pressure to make a thicker line. The trickiest part now is putting them together. So you want thin, light upstrokes, thick, heavy downstrokes, and it's just going to take practice to learn how to control the pressure. One of the biggest misconceptions is that it's cheating to use a ruler or some kind of guidelines or graph paper to sketch out your word before you actually write it. I find this to be extremely helpful now, but especially when I was just beginning. It can be really tricky to get your spacing and your letter height consistent, so having some kind of guideline to follow will really help you with that. So here are my makeshift guidelines. The middle is where the body of my letters go. That's my X height. The top is for ascending letters and the bottom is for descending letters. So I'm going to write the word hand because we are practicing hand lettering, and there's a nice ascending curve as well as medium X height letters. So the H has an ascending curve, but it also has an X height curve as well. The A is just a medium-sized letter, so that's only going to be on the X height. N is also one of those medium-sized letters that stays within the X height lines. And for each movement of my pen, if I'm moving it up, it's going to be super light, creating a thin, it's called a hairline. And then if I'm moving my pen down, I'm going to use more pressure to create a nice thick line. So D has a medium X height letter as well as an ascender. Using a paintbrush for hand lettering is literally the original brush lettering. It's just a little bit trickier because the bristles on a paintbrush are so much more flexible. It takes more practice to learn how to control your moving, especially from your thick downstrokes into your thin upstrokes, like right there. But the good thing about hand lettering is that we're drawing letters, right, instead of writing them. So in this case, we're painting them. So you can always go back in and fix them. If you don't like how one turned out, you can add more ink. You can go back and fill in a letter. But that's the beauty of brush lettering, is that there's really no rule. I actually love the organic look of the really faint paint on some letters and then the more pigmented, heavier ink on others. So something I want you to remember is that with hand lettering specifically, there's really no wrong way to do it. So if you add an extra flourish or if you do a loop that's not exactly like the way I do it, that's totally fine. Just figure out ways to make it your own, vary your spacing, vary your curves, vary how many loops, how modern you make it. Just make it your own, have fun with it, and you'll be good.